Well, folks, all I got to say is rest in peace, 2015 Detroit Tigers season. I came on here last week talking about how Dombrowski should consider being a seller at the deadline with this current squad because of bullpen inconsistencies, abysmal rotation, and pretty much no one hitting on this offense. I mean, Cabrera was hitting. We're going to touch on him. You got a black hole at third. You got a black hole at second. Ghost and Davis. I mean, Ghost can't hit a left-hander to save his life. I mean, Davis has been playing good. Brad Ausmus awful managing. All that was going on. And you were at 500 or a game above. So you look at the past week, what happens? They end up getting swept by Pittsburgh. They lose an extra innings in a game they should have won on Thursday. They get destroyed Wednesday. Thursday, might as well go to the eighth inning, fast forward to that. JD Martinez comes up and hits a 3-run shot to make it 4-3. What happens? Bruce Rendon comes out, gives up 5 runs. They get destroyed. They lose a game that they potentially could win. And that's what it's been all year. You know, JD Martinez has had a monster home runs to either tie games or make them close. There was a in Pittsburgh earlier this year, Mark Melancon came on, and they were up 5-0, or they were up 5-1. JD Martinez hits another 3-run shot, makes it 5-4, and they end up losing because Castellanos, with the tying run at second, hits into a double play to end the inning. So there's literally, I'm not even gonna bullshit you guys. I have not been watching this team really whatsoever. There is no fucking point. They're 1-32 when losing after 7 innings. You can literally watch a Tigers game up to the 7th inning, and if they do not tie the game, there's like a 1% chance they're gonna win the fucking thing. They have been awful, absolutely awful. What is the point of watching a team that is 1-32 after trailing 7 innings? What's the point of watching an entire game? You know they're going to lose. That extra inning game, get runners on second base. Twice they had runners in scoring position in the last couple innings. They don't do anything with them. You know, they had a couple of great plays to cut down potential Pittsburgh go-ahead runs. But, you know, Neil Walker fucking destroyed them that series. He single-handedly butt-fucked them. Jabba Chamberlain gives up 3 home runs in 1 inning. Bruce Rendon gets destroyed. Now let's move on to why the season is over. Miguel Cabrera yesterday on a hit and run, a ball was hit foul and he pulled up. And I didn't watch this entire game. I only because I was at Milan drag strip yesterday. Anibal Sanchez flirted with a no-hitter and ended up getting lit up in the 8th inning. And they ended up, when he had already went out with the no-no going. And Pittsburgh ended up, or the Blue Jays, mind you, I don't know why I wanted to say the Pirates, but the Blue Jays made it an 8-6 game after Sanchez was no-hitting him through 7 and a third. And Miggy on a hit and run pulls up and strains his calf. Well, it's announced today that it's a tear and he's going to be out 6 weeks. That's just until he can resume baseball activities. 6 weeks. That's not counting the rehab that he's going to have to do when he comes back. Because you don't miss 6 weeks and don't do a stint in the minors. You don't. This team is a game over 500. 3rd place. Minnesota is ahead of you. Mike Pelfrey has been better than 4/5 of rotation. Phil Hughes, Kyle Gibson. These guys have all been better than 4/5 of your rotation. Your bullpen, you got Brad Ausmus doesn't have a fucking clue what to do. He's got Alex Wilson coming out in asinine spots. He's using Jabba, you know, in important situations, still in high-level situations. And they finally release Jabba Chamberlain, or not release him, but designate for assignment him, Grezolani, send Brian Holiday down, bring back up Alex Avila. from AAA because he's done with his start or his stint down there. It took him till fucking July. July, when this guy had a 1 ERA, but a whip of 1.6 and a BABIP of almost 400. He allowed up 2 weeks ago. I looked at his stats. He allowed, 5 of his 8 inherited runners to score. And that was 2 weeks ago, and I know that's higher now. I know it is because when he came on the other day and allowed a couple of those home runs, I mean, he's fucking god awful. And Grzelani at 30 appearances at a 6 ERA. It took you this fucking long to cut those guys? This is why. With Miggy hitting 350, with JD Martinez hitting all these big home runs, with finally getting back Victor Martinez, who's been hitting better since he came off the disabled list. I mean, Ian Kinsler slugging 350. His OPS is 683. Nick Castellanos is hitting 233. His on base is 278. His OPS is 623. Anthony Gose is on base is 318. His OPS is 679. What are you supposed to do with that? Your other option for third base, Andrew Romine, he's sitting 314 in limited appearances, but he's been better than Castellanos. What are you supposed to do with that? So you got that, Miggy and JD hitting, pretty much being your biggest hits, Yoenis Cespedes being your best hitters, and you're a game over 500. That's with all those guys. That's with Miguel Cabrera, slugging 578 and an OPS of 1,034 and hitting 350. I mean, your rotation, Anibal Sanchez has been absolutely outstanding since June. But, I mean, who knows with him? He's given up 18 home runs this year. David Price is your only bright spot. Simon has just regressed. Just my biggest fear. My biggest fear. Because he did this last year at the Reds. He was absolutely outstanding in the first half. His ERA has climbed nearly over a run in the last month and a half. He's been terrible. Absolutely terrible. Shane Green is getting lit up in AAA. He hasn't been good. Lobstein's hurt. Kyle Ryan's been your bullpen lefty / starter. He's gotten hit up pretty good his last couple of times out. And you got Buck Farmer. In 2 starts, he's sporting an ERA of almost 11. With that team, you are 1 game over 500 with that squad. Now, you're telling me losing Miguel Cabrera to at least September that they should be buyers at the deadline? No way. No fucking way should they be buyers at the deadline. If you're 1 game over 500 with that squad and you're taking your best hitter out of it, you're telling me they should be buyers at the deadline. You think Jeffrey Marte is going to come up and fill Miguel Cabrera? No way. No way. This is a sign. You have an aging core. Verlander went on the DL for the first time ever in his career this year, missed 2 months. Now Miguel Cabrera, 32 years old, on the DL for the first time ever in his career. Age is starting to catch up. Your core is getting older. Victor is 37. Cabrera is 32. Verlander is 32. Kinsler is 32 or 33. Your core is old. It's aging. You got 4 great years out of them. You won 4 straight division titles. You went to the ALCS twice. You went to the World Series. But your core is getting older. When these guys are starting to go on the DL for the first times in their career, it's just showing you these guys aren't 27, 28 anymore. I mean, they got a lot of games. And Miguel Cabrera, since 2008, he leads the MLB in OPS, extra base hits, home runs, RBIs, batting average, and slugging percentage. Yet you were 1 game over 500 with him leaving yesterday in the lineup. You don't stand a fucking chance in hell that you're going to win the division because KC drops 4 straight and you gain a half game on them. Minnesota is closer to first place than you, obviously being in second place. You're not even close to catching Minnesota. and you lose Miguel Cabrera, it's over. Fucking sell. Your core is old. You have no one in the minors. But you have players. You're in a unique position. You have a lot of good players on a mediocre team. What is the point of keeping a David Price around if you have no Miguel Cabrera and you're already in third place? What is the point of keeping a Yoenis Cespedes who's having the best year of his career? Maybe not from a power standpoint, but the boy is hitting 289, 318 on base, slugging 475, OPS of almost 800, OPS plus of 117, 10 homers, 43 RBIs. You got a Joakim Soria. You're telling me a contender couldn't needed a bullpen arm, a potential closer? Hello, you're a Tigers fan. That's what you need as soon as the season starts every year, April 1st. A reliever like that. You're already counting down the days of the deadline until they trade for a Joakim Soria. You tell me you can't get something for that? You got David Price, who's having an outstanding year. You could get a lot for that. I mean, it's a half a season's worth, but look what you gave up to get a season and a half of him last year. A Drew Smyly and an Austin Jackson. You could get something for him. You have to do something. Because when you lose Miguel Cabrera and you're only a game over 500 with him having the season he's having, a great year, leading the American League in hitting again. I mean, an OPS of 1.034, slugging almost 600. I'm just sorry. You don't have the pieces and the depth around you to supplement for that kind of loss. I'm sorry. People are like, oh, well, look at the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright goes down and lose Matt Adams, but they're still a great team. The Cardinals have fucking depths, you moron. They have Matt Hollidays. They have Jason Haywards. They have Colton Wongs. They have Yadi Molinas. They have Matt Carpenters. Randall Grichuk is a really underrated player. I really like Randall Grichuk. That was a great trade when they got him. I mean, look at the rotation. Carlos Martinez has been great. They got Carlos Martinez. They got Michael Wacha. I mean, they got guys to supplement these kind of losses. The Tigers don't. You lose Miguel Cabrera, you have Jeffrey fucking Marte to replace him. You know, you lose Justin Verlander out of your rotation. You have Kyle Lobstein. You don't have a Michael Wacha waiting around in the wings. You don't have a Carlos Martinez you can take out of the bullpen and put in your rotation. You don't, because your farm system depth is shit. So say they go and they buy more at the deadline, and they don't sell, which they're probably not, because this team is so fucking, convinced to want to keep the band together to try to make another run at this shit, to try to make a wild card because they're not too far out of the second wild card spot. They're probably going to sell from their depth that they don't have much of to try to get another, because they need a starting pitcher. They really, really do. I mean, they're not going to get by. I don't care what bat they get. That rotation is so bad right now that they need a starting pitcher more than they need someone to replace Miguel Cabrera. They really do. And they need another bullpen arm. Because now that Chamberlain and Grzelani are gone, hopefully Brad Ausmus starts using Alex Wilson in the 8th, because that's where he needs to be, and bumps Bruce Rendon to the 7th. Bruce Rendon back down into the 7th. And then, Soria is your closer, and then you got Blaine Hardy from the left side. And now they called up Drew Verhagen, who's a lefty. And then they called up, I think it's Jeff Farrell, if I remember correctly. And I heard that there's speculation that there's big moves coming. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, Nebraska's probably going to end up keeping all these guys together. They're probably going to make a push for a second wild card. They're probably going to try to shoot for second because they're not winning the division this year. They're just not. Kansas City's so much better. And they'll probably miss the wild card, or they'll make the wild card, lose in the wild card game. And what are you going to have to show for it next year? No David Price, probably. I guarantee no David Price. He's a $200 million pitcher. Yoenis Cespedes is going to want some money. So you got no more him. No more Rajai Davis. So what are you going to do for an outfielder? No more Joakim Soria. Your team is going to be absolutely garbage next year. If you don't sell this year and get any kind of depth to try to rebuild, your team's going to be garbage. Absolutely garbage. They're not even good now. And that's with Cespedes. That's with JD. That was with Miguel Cabrera, with Victor Martinez, with David Price, Anibal Sanchez. I mean, for fuck's sake, Justin Verlander is going to be looked upon as the head of the staff again come next year. That's a scary thought. Trying to watch this guy get out hitters right now is pathetic. He doesn't even have 10 strikeouts and 3 starts. And he's already missed a start since coming off the disabled list. He had his scratch or back stiffness. It's time to sell, and this season is over. And I'm telling you guys right now, if they don't sell, and they don't sell David Price, and they don't get rid of Yoenis Cespedes and Joakim Soria, and try to rebuild to get another, to try to get a new core to make another run. Because if they do this, next year is going to be a bad year. Next year, regardless, I'm writing off as a bad year. Whether or not, they sell this year to get young talent to try to supplement for the loss of these upcoming free agents, or they keep the band together and they're just not good because they have no depth. Next year is bad regardless. But they're going to be bad building towards the future because they got a new core of young crop of players coming up. They're looking for 2017. Or they're just going to be really bad because they have no depth and a really, really aging core. And 2016 and beyond is in super question. So it's either going to be either one of those two scenarios. And I'm hoping they're bad next year because, they have a young core group of guys is gelling, and they're trying, to build towards 2017 and beyond. Not because they have no depth, and it could be another 5 years before they're competitive again, So that's really about it. I mean, if they don't sell at the deadline, I'm not making another video for the rest of the year. I'm not. I'm giving them to the end of July. And if they don't sell off these players, you will not see another Tigers video out of this channel because I won't watch them. I will not watch them. I don't give a fuck if they make it to the playoffs. I will not watch them because it is a selfish goddamn move when you have this kind of position with these kind of chips that you could deal to get young talent brought in to supplement for the free agent potential losses you're going to have. Just to keep them all together for one last run, which you're not going to do anything with because you don't have the pitching depth. I mean, think about it. What they need, a starting pitcher, bullpen help, someone with a right-handed bat, or actually left-handed bat. I think the left-handed bat more need a right-handed bat, even with Cabrera being a righty gone, because they got JD and Cespedes. They need a left-handed bat bad. You don't even have the depth needed to go and get what you need to make this team a potential, one more run contender anyways. So regardless, you're fucked. You're fucked regardless because you don't have the amount of pieces you need to make yourself, to fill these voids that you have to make yourself a legitimate playoff contender. But you have pieces to sell for the future. So they're in a shit position. They really are. Like I said, I'm just trying to make the point, guys, that with Miguel Cabrera, with the players they got, they were one game over 500 in third. Now you don't have Miguel Cabrera. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? Season is over. Sell. And if they don't sell, I'm not watching another game the rest of this season. I do not give a fuck. Because it's going to be a selfish move on Dombrowski's part not to try to go out while, you still have Miguel Cabrera and all these guys, because they are getting older, and try to rebuild around them. It'll be a selfish move on their part, and you're just going to waste Miggy's remaining years. And like I said, you got an aging core. You don't believe you got an aging core now? I don't know what more you could do. Verlander on the disabled list for the first time this year. Cabrera on the disabled list for the first time this year. These guys are getting older. They're not in their 20s anymore. So I don't know what more there's need to prove. The window is closed. And I've been preaching the Nostradamus bullshit for 2 years about how their window was closing. And I'm they got this. No, they don't. They just don't. And now my biggest fear, these guys are old with no one to, and you're going to have a lot of good players going with no one to replace them, is coming true. And I was talking about this 2 years ago when I said they should have traded Max Scherzer. And I'm talking about it right now. Trade away what you have. Get younger. You have trade chips. You have a lot of them. Get some fucking depth. And if they don't do it, I'm done. I will not watch another game the rest of the season because I don't care. I do not give a shit. I don't want to sit here and watch a Miguel Cabrera-less team for the last 2 months struggle to stay at 500 because that's what's going to happen. That's all that's going to happen. And I don't want to watch it. I don't. I'm tired of watching JD Martinez hit big home runs in the 7th, 8th inning, and then their bullpen blow it. I'm tired of watching that. Literally, the only reason why I watch this team is to watch David Price. I love watching Iggy Iglesias. And I watch JD and Cabrera. That's it. There's not another reason why I watch this team. There's no other interesting players on this squad. Verlander is awful to watch. Sanchez, like I said, has been better, but he's home run ball happy. I mean, do you think I want to watch fucking Buck Farmer pitch? I mean, James McCann is, it's cool watching him throw out guys like Billy Hamilton. I mean, you got that. But, I mean, you think I like watching Nick Castellanos struggle to hit 230? You know? You think I like watching Anthony Ghost flailing everything in the dirt against a lefty? No. You think I like watching Rajah Davis misplay balls in center field because he doesn't know how to take the correct route to a ball? No. I don't. There's nothing appealing about watching this team right now. I'm being dead honest with you guys. I really am. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. This team has got me so pissed off at him. And like I said, they don't sell. I'm done. I'm done. I won't make another video. So season's over, guys. Miggy's out for 6 weeks. Probably not going to be back till September. They have a fuck ton of holes with no depth even any kind of which way to fill them. So it'll be interesting to see what Dombrowski does in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully they sell. I don't know, guys. Have a good one. What do you think?